and welcome to Beyond the Studio, the place where we tell the stories and talk to the instructors that move the UK. We're all about championing the great things coming out the sector and celebrating the people making a difference. So, with that in mind, I'm Sue Wilkie. Let me introduce you to our first guest. I want to welcome Rachel Holmes to our podcast. Welcome, Rachel, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Sue. I'm very excited to be here. And lovely studio. It's going to be great.
This is all about Group X. It's a new podcast we're launching. I had to have you on straight away, obviously. For people who maybe don't know you, let's rewind the clock a bit. And my first question to you is, what inspired you to become a Group Exercise instructor?
Well, we are rolling the clock back a long way. I've been teaching nearly 40 years. So I started teaching in 1986 when I was 16. I was going to aerobics classes in the olden days, keep fit classes, which I loved. My family were cyclists, BMX racers, and I was a BMX champion. I was a UK British champion. And we were looking for something to do in the winter for training. So we joined a local gym. I started going to the classes and absolutely loved them. So I started going to classes in 84. And then about 85, 86, I thought, I can do this. So I left school with limited qualifications. My family are entrepreneurs. My dad had pubs. And above one of his pubs, he had a big function room. So I'd already sort of think, actually, I could have a class here. There was no qualifications then. There was an RSA. There was the RSA. YMCA was very fledgling at that time. And I started teaching. I did my first class in my pineapple leotard. And quite quickly after, qualifications started to come through. The YMCA were running courses in London, and then they ran some courses in the Midlands at Lichfield. So I trained 87, 88 and did the YMCA RSA course, which I loved, and then just, went for it. Started hiring space, working for leisure centres. And at the same time, very early on, late 80s, there was an organisation coming through that was called ASIT. And they were sort of like a Fit Pro, like an EMD UK, very early, and they were based at Loughborough. So I heard about this, went along, and I became a regional rep. And then I started holding regional workshops in Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire. So that enabled me to start to network with other instructors around the country. And that really is very important throughout my whole career. It's been being open to conversations, networking with people, finding out what other people are doing, how they're doing it. And that really is a common thread that I've probably weaved through all the way through my career. I then went on to be sponsored by Nike, and that took me all over the world as a Nike athlete. We had a great team, many people that I'm still in touch with and went into business with, my friend Jay Nichols. And we started to tour, which sounds really wild.
I remember those tour days. I remember being that person coming up through watching, going, these Nike tour people.
They were wild events, huge events. They were big events in London. We did Ireland, Scotland. We went all over the world, the US. It was amazing. When I look back, I don't think, at the time you just don't realise how big a deal it was being sponsored by such an amazing, iconic brand. They were just coming into women's fitness at the time. At the early 90s, there was only the Reebok freestyle shoe. Yeah. And Nike then launched their shoe, and we started to promote their shoe and their apparel. There was very little women's apparel then. Very different time to now.
It was very much the leg warmers. Yeah. It was the leg warmers, the leggings, the leotards.
100%. It was the,
shell suits.
Yeah, all of that.
We used to squeak along the corridor as you would walk along, worrying that you're going to catch fire because the shell suits were so polyester.
Absolutely. But it was really good times, We met some great people on there. Then FitPro came. So FitPro came over from Australia, and they created professional teaching organisations, which we joined. And FitPro were another level then. They really made the industry very professional. They got great standards. They started doing a tour with Jane and Daryl first, and we went along, and wow, these Australians, they know how it's done. And they ran a really good organisation, insurance, great events. They started running the FitPro event in Coventry first, which we all went to. And I started presenting for FitPro.
What got you into presenting? Having been through the stages myself, there is a shift. What was that opportunity you were given, or did you seek it out for yourself?
There wasn't presenters then. It wasn't a thing, really. It was when ASIT did their first convention at Loughborough. the lady who organised it was married to Bob Smith. Don't know if you remember Bob Smith, Sally. And she was looking for instructors to teach aqua in the early morning slot, like a 7 a.m. slot at the convention. And I'd met her through ASIT. So she asked me if I would do aqua. So I did aqua. So that would be 89, 90. I became a presenter from then on then. I presented at their conventions, started presenting at Nike events, Nike conventions. And then when FitPro came along, I started presenting. Well, you would audition or you would send in sessions in those days, and you would put your sessions in. And there'd be a lot of US, Australian, Canadians come over. So I'd always look at the timetable and think, okay, well, I'm not going to compete with Marcus Irwin. I'm not going to do Carrie Anderson. I'm going to come up with something different. I would look at the timetable and see where I could fit in and offer something different. And started presenting at all of those sort of national conventions. And then FitPro organised tours. So I went on tour with Michael Steele and Helena Conlon, and that was an absolute eye-opener. I mean, FitPro worked as hard. We did about 25 days. We'd be in Edinburgh, Bristol, Southampton, Guildford. And the events would get hundreds of instructors.
It was different, very different back then. We know group exercise instructors love community. That was something that an instructor looked forward to go and attend. And actually, as a presenter yourself, you became icons, realistically, and still to this day. But there was that iconic status. What I don't think a lot of people understand is the work you had to put in. I mean, I know when I started presenting, a lot of it was for free. You didn't get paid for it. It was just like, here's an opportunity, and you go, I'm going to grab it and go for it.
100%. I mean, with FitPro, it was a very slick professional organisation. You know, we did loads of rehearsals with Lisa Chivers. You know, nobody was going to go on the FitPro stage without being completely rehearsed. You know, everything was practiced and polished, which really stood me in good stead. It was the first time I'd really been coached or mentored before. I'd been to do lots of courses, but Lisa really worked hard on technique and voice projection and how we showed up and what the day would look like and how we would greet people coming. And it was very professional. And it really opened my eyes to another level. And also the events, every single weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we'd be running these events. Big sports centres, you know, there was no David Lloyd or Nuffield. We were all at big leisure centres. So many people that I'm still friends with now, so many people that still do my courses now, I met all those years ago. They came to those events. Regional events were huge, very important part of the whole landscape. And the regions were very different as they are now. Mm-hmm. You know, it would be, you'd get a very different show workshop in London to one you would get in Edinburgh, to Bristol, to Guildford. They're all very different. We're all micro markets. It's all slightly different in the regions. Made a lot of great contacts and just realised that there was a whole business opportunity here. So myself and Jane Nichols, we decided to create our own version.
Well, I was going to come on to that. Is like, okay, so going through your career, you've gone from being instructor and obviously having had a family who's an entrepreneur base, you're always looking to evolve into the so what next. So I know that you moved into your next stages, and that was working with Choreography to Go, which is what you established. So talk us through a little bit about how that came about and where it is nowadays.
That's a fascinating journey, really. So Jane and I went on tour ourselves. We did our own tours. And again, we were touring every weekend all around the country. And I was still working 20 classes a week locally in Derbyshire, hiring space, hiring halls, hiring leisure centres, working at local leisure centres. So I was doing a good 20 odd classes a week. And then at the weekend, we'd be on the road doing workshops. And we'd do everything, choreography, new ideas, teaching skills, body conditioning, anything that new came along, step, slide, Jane did. We jumped on it and then we toured it. And there was other presenters doing that. It was such a big industry then. So many teachers, so many instructors, and everybody went to regional events. Everyone knew each other at the regional events. So Jane and I then realised that we'd be probably better off doing it separately. And at the time, inverted commas, mind body was on the horizon. We was going to the US to IDEA, and this whole new mind body stream was appearing. It was all choreography before that. And then we would see more yoga and Pilates. And it was just, you know, it was around, there were studios around, there were yoga studios, Pilates studios, but they weren't really in the fitness. They were very separate. They weren't within the group exercise realm. Michael King obviously was developing his Pilates, and we went and got trained with Michael. And we just saw from the US that this was a huge, you know, a huge market that was just opening up. We didn't know where it was going to go, but so Jane decided that she was going to go down the yoga route. and I would go down the Pilates route, and we would create something different that was together. It was kind of, it's like sister brands, really. Yeah.
I think people always still recognise you both as sister brands. You kind of work together, but actually seeing where you were very early on that bandwagon, realistic. You were actually the leaders in going forward with what was out there and providing an alternative for instructors to start learning. So what was your thought process behind Fitness Pilates and your freestyle fitness yoga at the time?
23, 24 years ago. And at the same time, we were seeing the rise of the internet. So before that, if I was marketing to instructors, I would have to pay FitPro for their mail out. And, we would get this mail out, went out 3 or 4 times a year, and it was really expensive. It was thousands. So you would get your printing, you would print your flyer, you'd get maximum amount of info on the flyer. You'd have one tour on the front, one tour on the back, get it all printed. I would go to the printers in Nottingham. They would do it all for me, typeset it all out. And then you would send sort of 12, 15,000 to FitPro, and they would go out with the magazine. There was no internet then.
I actually remember opening up the FitPro magazine on the doorstep, and all the pieces of paper fell out of it at the bottom. Exactly. You go, what's going on and where do I go next time? Yeah.
Amazing. Very, very expensive.
I never realised you did that on your own. That's the thing. Wow.
Very expensive and very expensive to do. But the return on your investment was huge because everybody read that magazine and everyone would come. Kind of moving into mid to late 90s, we were seeing the internet. Yeah. And I was getting magazines from CompuServe and AOL and I was thinking, this is interesting. And I was really good friends with a business person, nothing to do with fitness. And he was getting his company into the online space and getting a website. Nobody had websites then. And he was on AOL and this internet. And I thought, wow, this is very interesting. And started to slowly realise that, wow, this is a way that I'm going to be able to communicate with people for free. People were just starting to get, computers, and they were getting email addresses. And I thought, wow, I'm going to start a newsletter. So I started just with 50 emails to begin with. And those times people didn't even have their own email. It would be their husband's email or their partner's email. And it was dial-up. So it was like, shh, I used to dial up. So different. And I started off with a very small newsletter, and I would just send it from my AOL account every Thursday, and it was the instructor newsletter from Choreography to Go. And it just started as a newsletter to begin with. And I started sending out choreography ideas, music ideas, pretty much what I do now.
But that shows how iconic it is, though, because I remember many a time logging on to Choreography to Go to get a update. Because, going back then, there was not many pre-choreographed types of routines out there. There was no products that was giving you the content. You were having to think all the time around your own content. And Choreography to Go became that place that an instructor was like his little haven of going, I don't have to think myself. I've got some really rich content. And even today, you're still online every morning.
Every
day, showing people kind of 5-minute ideas. And I just think that's brilliant because I think so many of us, we are time poor to have someone who's jumped on that, and you were leading that way so many years ago, Rachel. You must be really proud of that.
It is, yeah. It built up a great business. It was, to get a website done in those days cost thousands. I spent thousands on web and tech. But I learned with it, grew with the business, started offering qualifications. We were doing lots of courses, and then became a training provider with Active IQ, started running the level 2, level 3 qualifications. And that really became a big part of the business. I was still doing workshops, courses, traveling around. And so it was always a case of juggling lots of different verticals, I suppose you would say, through the business. But always knowing that my heart is always in group exercise. And I know that group exercise teachers need community, they need support, they need friendship. It's very lonely. Everybody thinks, oh, you're this gregarious character and you've got loads of friends, but you don't see people. You don't see your peers that often. There's so much to go at. Even now, there's so many avenues to go down. Yeah. And every year I think, is this it? But then something else comes along. Yeah.
And I think that's your growth mindset as well, though. I mean, you're very clearly, you've evolved. Yeah. If you look back to where you first started to what you are now, and you're still a really good sustainable business model, right? What do you think the future holds for Group X?
The future is fascinating. If you and I were having this conversation 6 months ago, I probably would have said something different. But I think we are now looking at what I would term the hybrid instructor. I think Group X teachers are phenomenal. I don't think there's a better industry where they create amazing communities. They can bring people together from all walks of life with just the common reason for movement and exercise. If you look at your group exercise classes, people are there, all ages, from all backgrounds, but they're coming on that Monday night at 6 o'clock because they love you. There's something about you that they resonate with, something about your personality. Obviously, the class content, but there's so much more than the exercise. The exercise in group exercise is a small part.
I couldn't agree more.
It's such a small part.
It's like the sticky magnet.
Yeah.
I've actually started going back to classes, and I now stand at the back because I love to witness the people in the back row. And it is like a sticky magnet. You go in, and even if you've presented for years, to go to someone else's class still feels intimidating.
Yes.
So we know what that participant feeling is like. I stand at the back of the class and I'm there with somebody who's 65 through to 82 to a 15-year-old, and everyone's got ailments but the minute you're there and you're bumping into somebody else because you've gone the wrong way, it's almost like an exchange of energy.
Exactly.
And people connect with an eye contact, and next time they kind of then start talking to them.
100%.
And then that is the beauty of Group X.
And I think
community.
Everybody moving together to music. There's something tribal about that reaches our souls somewhere. And just now we have so many opportunities because there's so many ways that you can take your skills and deliver it. It doesn't have to just be Monday night at 6 o'clock forevermore. You can organise retreats and events and masterclasses. You can collaborate with other people. You can be face-to-face, online. I mean, basically, pick an idea. There's so many.
Hey, thanks for listening. Did you know that EMD UK provides group exercise instructors with professional support and training for less than the cost of hiring a hall for a day? Keep up with the sector, stay on top of training, and receive exclusive content at emduk.org. Now, back to the discussion. From our perspective, from where I see the research coming back in from instructors, they feel quite overwhelmed of so what next? Yeah. You've delved into retreats and stuff like that and how you've developed it. Is there any key tips that you'd kind of help people out with those?
I think there's a new emerging business model. And I'm coining this the hybrid instructor. And with that, I don't mean that it's you teach classes online or you teach classes on face-to-face. Rather than relying on one income stream, you have what we would say multiple verticals, using your skills and your knowledge in different ways. And I think there's different consumers for different parts of that model. So my thought process going forward from what I'm seeing with all my groups, my own business is, if you teach community classes, wherever you are in the country, I think there is a glass ceiling of how many potentially teach. I don't mean as in how many can physically teach, but what will work in that area. So it might be that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are your key nights, and anything on a Thursday or a Friday or a Saturday might not work. But it might be in your area that Saturday, Sunday and Wednesday works. It's finding which days.
Get that research done,
yeah.
Right?
You have to do a lot of trial and testing and find it. You might move classes half an hour one way, an hour another way, and then that could make a difference with numbers. And it's researching the area. What's the competition? And again, I don't mean other instructors. I mean what's happening locally. Gyms. What kind of gyms, leisure centres are there? What are their offerings? Where can you fit in? Is your venue, is it accessible? Parking? All those kind of things go into the mix. There'll be key nights that will be busy, key mornings or afternoons that will be busy. And I think sometimes if you go over that, you just spread the numbers. You don't make any more money, it just spreads.
It's creating that supply and demand, isn't it?
Exactly.
Really, it's kind of like keeping your classes to not to a minimal, but kind of generating, I must get in. I mean, it's with any sales, right? If it's fully booked, people then want to go because it's fully booked. But again, it's knowing you've got enough, because you sometimes go, oh, I've been fully booked 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I'll start another class. But actually, that's only 5 people.
Yeah.
So how do you sustain that?
That's exactly right. So focus on building the key amount of classes that you can teach that work in that area, and then fill them. And then, as you say, keep waiting lists on them. Then the next level would be to organise, and I put retreats loosely, events, so specials. So it might just be a masterclass. It might be that you collab with another professional. You might be doing a sound bath. You might do a menopause talk. You might get a Reiki healer in, something that's complementary. You might get somebody in that owns a boutique in the local town, and you do a collaborative event, something that you can invite people to, that is going to attract, again, another ripple of more consumers, different people who perhaps won't come to your weekly class, but they're interested in your monthly offering, whatever that might be. Again, we're seeing research across the board that especially midlife women are looking for events, activations, experiences. We're also seeing our younger women now. We're seeing nightclubs close down. We're seeing less people drinking. More people are turning to wellness, fitness events are becoming a social life. So it's all collaborating together. It doesn't have to be, let's take everybody to Ibiza for a week, which would be great. But I think it might just be a Saturday afternoon special. You know, at the moment, I'm running a monthly event where I teach aerobics, retro aerobics 90, and a step class and a conditioning class just once a month in a lovely university. And it brings people that from my last 40 years are up here, people who I've not seen for years come. They just want to do that class on a Saturday afternoon, enjoy it, reminisce, love the music, and that's it. So I think that's a huge business opportunity for Fit Pros. You can attract a new audience. It's great for your social media content. If you're doing events, you can get them filmed, pictures. I mean, it's going to keep your socials buzzing for months.
So I'm going to flip you over a little bit here, because you then brought in that little piece around marketing.
Yeah.
And that's another string to your bow, is that you now launched some retreat, like little get-togethers where people can actually learn about the business. And from our perspective, again, at EMD UK, one of the biggest issues, again, time, poor instructors, and learning how to market feels very overwhelming. What drew you into doing that part of your work, and tell us all about it so people know about it?
I've always done lots of business training and coaching and workshops from the word go, just from, again, my dad having a pub and watching him market, very similar. And I know that before it was even called personal brand, I realised that you're the business. So putting yourself in front of people, although scary as it may be, it is the key, because people do buy from people and they're buying you, they're buying your time. So using you as in your marketing and being completely transparent and normal, accent and all, is what brings people to you. And that's very important in this day and age.
And I think that's really important for instructors to, we have, the genre of group exercise, over 60,000 instructors across the UK, is you go from people who are starting out from 17, who are also starting out at 65 delivering classes. But Instagram or something can be, they feel it's a competition, it's dulling it down. But I think it's what we do know as well is people by people, right? Like you said. And actually one of the biggest pieces we found from our participant survey that we did, a national survey 2 years ago, was that participants want to see people who look like them.
They do.
Or they want to make that human connection before they attend the class. So the marketing, and if you can just practice a couple of minutes on screen and just pick up your phone and do it randomly, you're going to get better at it.
100%.
And people will connect with you.
100%. Social media can seem very overwhelming, but back in the day, I would have to take leaflets round doors and it would cost me thousands to send. I can sit at home in my slippers now and just speak to my phone and go, hi. It's just about being authentic. If it is feeling overwhelming, just pick one platform. Decide who your market is. It might be Facebook, it might be Instagram, it might be YouTube. And just plug into that platform and then just start creating content. You don't need anything special. All you need is your phone and just your personality, and tell people what you do. You can't be the best kept secret. If people don't know who you are and what you offer and what you teach, they're not going to buy your services. They're not going to come to your class. And I think even now we're moving into this world of AI. We are already seeing so much AI in the newsfeed, very polished. So people now are looking for raw, normal. They want to hear you speak. They want to know you, exactly as you said, before they attend. And the instructors that can do that and do that consistently are the instructors that do build, sizable businesses and successful businesses.
Hi, have you hit that subscribe button yet? Just a reminder to tap the button so you don't miss an episode, and help other instructors to listen by hitting share. Back to the studio. The future of AI in fitness. I know there's a lot of instructors who might be going, is it going to take over what I'm doing? Will people start changing? What's your thoughts?
If we go back to the sort of the vertical model, I think the hybrid model, you've got teaching community classes, let's make those busy. Then look at maybe monthly or seasonal events. Now, if we look at the online space, there's a lot of opportunity there. Loads of instructors went online during COVID and created fantastic businesses, but they've stalled. It's been hard to keep that going. Memberships are so hard to go. Subscriptions are hard to keep going. And I think in the UK, maybe not so much the US, people have got subscription fatigue. Signing up for another subscription, everything's monthly. Very hard to keep those going. What I think is a much better model going forward is to run seasonal online programs. So you would run, your January Jumpstart program that starts on this date, finishes on this date. You would have a break. You would then do your pre-Easter, you'd do your pre-holiday. You would do all the way through the year. You choose key points through the year where you might run an online program, and that could run on social media. It could run on your own website, could run in a WhatsApp group, could run in a Facebook group. There's a million ways you can do it, but they work brilliantly well. Starts on this date, finishes on this date. You decide what you're going to deliver. It might be so many classes. It might be some accountability. It might be some Q&A, whatever your specialism is.
Partnering with a local,
100%.
another business that might be able to support you.
Totally. And it all runs online. And this would be like your third vertical. Now, that can be a lot of work, but you can harness the power of AI to do so much of the admin now. Your ideation, your captions for social media. You can create lovely workbooks using the Canva AI. You can video edit now with the AI tools that you have on offer. So I don't think AI is going to replace group exercise. I really don't. But from the group exercise admin standpoint, it can boost your productivity. It can make your offerings look so much more professional, and it's nothing to be scared of. It's fantastic.
I agree. I think it can take that business admin away from you as an instructor, even from anything you're doing that you hate doing. It's just it's learning how to program it to be able to help it assist you within your work.
100%. And I think this is why the model of running events and still keeping with your community classes is very important. AI can't take that away.
And I don't think it can take it away for the end user either. If you look for a participant, it will sustain, a bit like the online model. It will sustain for a while, but there's the power of coming back and communicating with not just the instructor. It's with the group of people as well at the same time. Exactly.
And I think the online space has definitely changed. And I think many instructors built very, very profitable businesses, but not that many have carried on going with the big numbers. People wanted to get back to face-to-face, but there's definitely a business model for running seasonal online programs. And that gives you a break as well. You don't get burnt out with that.
And I think that's one thing. I'm going to come into the burnout part actually as well, is a lot. How have you managed to sustain yourself as an instructor? And you may have hit burnout. We give so much of ourselves. How have you managed to sustain your wellness over the period of time, and any tips you can give anybody around burnout?
Whenever anybody asks me this, I'm always a bit reluctant to be totally transparent, but I will be soon because it's you. I do get up very, very early, and I do go to bed quite late. I am a single mum as well. I've got good help around me. My parents live very local. So, but I am all in on this business. I am all in, and I do work very hard at it. I see what's coming on the horizon. I jump in, and I'm always excited about whatever's coming. Just completely throw myself into it. I won't say I get burnt out. We get tired. I mean, my business model has changed. If we were having this conversation 5-6 years ago, pre-pandemic, I would be driving to London, driving to Edinburgh, driving to here, there and everywhere. Then I would be getting burnt out, the travel, not the actual teaching. Now I do so much from home in my own studio, so much is online, so much is virtual. I don't feel burnt out with the travel element of it. And just there's so much to go at, We're seeing this huge Pilates explosion, which is so exciting. We're seeing so many new people come into the industry, which is even more exciting because we went through a phase where there was no people coming in. And there was no new faces coming through, and it was a bit sad. I was thinking, gosh, this is going down the other way. Group exercise is disappearing.
Well, the Group X qualification started to drop off massively, didn't it?
Massive. So a couple of years ago, Group X did appear to be on the decline. People were leaving the industry, especially coming out of COVID. Lots of fantastic instructors stopped, got regular jobs and disappeared. And there seemed to be less people coming through courses. During the pandemic, we were doing so many courses and qualifications. And then we did hit a bit of a spell where people seemed to leave the industry, and it was very transient. But now, wow, it's incredible. We are seeing more and more people doing the group exercise, level 2, which is fantastic. We're seeing so many people now coming in through the Pilates door. Pilates has exploded. We're seeing studios open all over the country, which is phenomenal. So we're having this whole new rebirth of new people who are discovering Pilates and want to teach Pilates, whether it's mat or reformer, which is so exciting.
Last 6 months, if I'd asked you that question of going, what is the future of Group X and where it's going, none of us, we could see a little trickle of it, but the explosion on the high street, I don't know, most of the listeners out there will be sitting there kind of going, what's that popping up in the gym? And I know it's very interesting because there's a lot of boroughs wouldn't allow you to open up a purpose-built fitness. It had to be a coded area that you had. But now I'm like, I've seen a bike shop shut down, and then you've opened up another Pilates studio. 100 yards down the road is another Pilates studio. It's great because for us, our work at EMD UK is not just around, well, primarily is to support the workforce, to help instructors. But actually the byproduct is by getting more people healthy, right? And I think one of the pieces that we need to catch up on is around where the future is, what is coming next, because there's definitely that movement into wellness space. Something we've been talking about is more about movement, coming away from going the high intensity is the only way you can work. It is about moving your body more, even if it's 5 minutes a day. And I think that's where Pilates is. We've been discussing this recently because we've just started a Pilates advisory group around where this growth is phenomenal. We can't deny that there's lots of different versions out there, but how we make sure it's safe for people as well.
We've seen this big explosion, I think, a lot with social media. Social media has really pushed the Pilates and the well-being, and we're seeing wellness almost taking over fitness. We're not seeing... We've got high rocks over here. We've got two very extreme ends of the market. So we've got high rocks competition, people training, doing trained fitness and competition, and that's huge as well. That's as big. And then we've got the other end of the scale. We've got Pilates, which has just exploded. I think definitely social media led because it looks so appealing on social media. Reformer Pilates looks amazing. People want to try something that's new. They want to get on the machines. They want to have a go. And we're just seeing so many new people enter the industry. Business people, investors, as well as seasoned instructors who've always wanted to have their own space. Maybe they've been teaching 40 odd years and never had their own space, and now they're seeing an opportunity. So it is very, very exciting. I mean, we're running courses at the moment, and the breadth of people that are attending those courses, we have someone who works at Ragdale alongside somebody that was in Love Island. It is wild, and that's so good. That's what we want.
Exactly. It's like, because I remember 2 or 3 years ago going, how are we going to get next generation of people coming through, and also the younger generation, and by Instagram or TikTok or any social media, that's actually driven it. But the byproduct is it's not just in Pilates.
Yeah.
They're also kind of going, oh, and so what else?
Yeah. And this whole recovery, I think, this hot and cold, sauna, outdoor fitness, it's all coming together in one big melting pot.
Yeah. I think it was expedited with the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, is everyone kind of went, oh, I don't necessarily need the gym at the time, controversial for some, but we didn't need it. We found other ways to be able to move more. But I think now the most important part is around people are burning out from their jobs and searching for solutions for it. And actually, group exercise can do it in many forms, because for those of you who maybe don't think as much about group X, you think there's yoga, there's Pilates, there's indoor cycling, there's walking groups, there's baby groups, there's anything you can think about, suspension training. And there's so many different genres of it that is available for you to literally show up at a park or anywhere, and it activates people.
Yeah. And that's the great thing about group exercise. You can train in any of those modalities, and you can find your tribe. You can market on social media. You can tell people who you are and what you do, and you can find your people. They'll find you if you're visible. They really will. So, and all ages now, group exercise want to come to Group X, which is even more exciting.
And I think it had that stereotypical global view of, especially in the UK, of a certain age group of women doing it, but actually you're seeing more men coming into the classes now. I think that's because High Rocks has allowed that as well. There's strength development classes coming out, but I think it's nice to see this younger generation coming in and a mix of people coming through as well.
And places to do it. These new studios, it's fantastic that you can go to these lovely new studios that are opening up. They're small, bespoke, very tailored, high value. But I think people are looking for a tailored service as well. They want to feel that their business counts. They want to get the results. And that sits well along with all the sort of leisure centre classes. There's something for everybody.
I think that's the most important thing. There is something for everybody. So it's not just about the hybrid. It's not just about high class classes as well. There are people like our parks out there doing classes in parks. So anybody can get it. It's just about moving and, like you said, finding that tribe. So what's next for Rachel? What does the future hold for Rachel at the moment?
Well, as we are sitting here, definitely the hybrid model. So running local classes. I have turned in my house 2 areas of my house into studios. I've now created a hot studio, infrared, and I've also created a training space. And so we're running courses from home, which is fantastic. I was looking for some commercial space, and then I thought, actually, I've got the space here. We could do it here. And again, seeing lots of instructors who are doing that. They're having cabins in their garden. And I think, we've seen beauticians and hairdressers. They've been doing that. They've been creating spaces at home for a long time since the pandemic. And I think we're seeing many more instructors are doing that. So that's an option. There's been an abundance of commercial space available around the country at lower rates in some area after the pandemic. So lots of instructors are going into commercial space. I probably won't go there. I'll never know. I'm not going to say, well, you never know.
You heard it here first. She said no. 5 years later, she has her own commercial business.
A week later. qualifications, that's always going to be the backbone of my business. So again, level 2, level 3, we'll run level 4. Lots of reformer teacher training, lots of Pilates teacher training, lots of events, activations, retreats, and business. So pretty much the same, but more of. I was developing some AI tools as well. I think there's some opportunities there to create some AI tools for Fit Pros. So I'm kind of wading through all that aspect of my business. But yeah, who knows? I'm here for it.
There's definitely this golden thread of entrepreneur throughout the whole of your... I think you bleed through it, don't you? It's there's definitely something in there that you're always... That's what I think is really important. I think it's a single thread that goes through every instructor, is we all know what our why is. We want to help other people move in whatever format that is. Are we helping them move actually in the class? Are you helping them move their business forward?
Yeah.
How do we help them start in the business? Now, if someone was brand new to the sector, so you do a lot of training, there's a lot of barriers to people coming into training as well. Mm-hmm. What's the one tip you'd say to somebody who's just starting out in the industry?
Go and get your qualification, first of all, whether that's Pilates, level 2 ETM, level 3 PT, whatever it is. Go and get that qualification and then start to meet people in your area. Try and network with as many instructors as you can. Work at lots of different places. Go and work at different leisure centres, work for different operators, set up on your own, which again sounds a lot, but it's just a great way that you'll meet lots of people, you'll network, you'll find your tribe, and then just start to use your personality, use all your knowledge, and never stop learning. Be a lifelong learner. Any courses that are around, jump on them. Go to other instructors' classes and and create your style. That's important.
And I think it's finding your style, isn't it? I think there's many, I don't know about you, but I've done so many courses over the years, but you get to the point of going, oh, no, maybe that's not me. 10% of that course I've taken away to go, I'll use that. Oh, that's a great nugget. So I think that continuous learning is really important for people, is go out there, experience everything that you can.
And you can get it everywhere. You can get it online. You can follow great people on social media, YouTube, but go to lots of things in person. Big events around the country, the Blackpool Convention, go to that, meet everybody there, go and do as many classes there that you can. And just go for it. There's nothing stopping you. There really isn't. Just got to go for it.
Brilliant. Now, one thing as we're coming to a close, so with this, is what we're trying to finish each segment with is a little bit about what we're going to call the ripple effect. So this is about looking at somebody who's starting out in the business now. What is that one thing or a piece of advice or a tip or a lesson you've learnt throughout the whole of your career that you'd like to pass on to somebody else so they don't either make the same mistake or move forward quicker?
Yeah, I think it is all down to the community. It's not just about teaching a class. So whenever you do teach a class, try and envisage that it's so much more than that. You're so important in so many people's lives and you don't realise it. So do give people the opportunity to connect. Invite people for coffee, get people to stay behind after class and talk. Find out who is in your class. You'll be amazed. There'll be people, solicitors, lawyers, professional people. There'll be stay-at-home mums, and you have no idea who's in front of you. There are amazing connections as well. Further down the road, if I look back at my career, so many people I met 40-odd years ago who came to my classes have been so inspirational for me and provided another door or another opportunity for me. And it was all find out, listen, talk to people. That would be my biggest advice.
Great. Well, thank you, Rachel, for coming today. It's been great to have you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today on today's podcast. And make sure that you stay tuned for our next adventures in Beyond the Studio.